Hello everyone. So video today about depression and exercise. So wearing my Heads Together headband that I got from London Marathon, mainly because it's something that's kind of important to me, and it's something that's relevant this year, and it's kind of sprung on me a little bit about how important it is to talk about it. Um, mainly, mainly because I think something that came out of London Marathon for me was obviously it was the theme of Heads Together and depression and people suffering, and obviously some of you may have seen the programme Mind Over Marathon. Um, and obviously there was the royals, Prince William, I believe, and Prince Harry. I think they were both talking about how they felt mentally after the loss of their mum. And for me, exercise and depression link hand in hand, or not necessarily, it doesn't have to be depression, but mental health, anxiety, that sort of thing. An awareness of it. It links hand in hand because obviously, I train lots of people, but particularly just to sort of talk about myself a little bit. So it's relevant because I really got into exercise because I realised I was very unhappy, not just from a aesthetics point of view, how I looked. I mean, I didn't look good because I wasn't healthy, but again, my body wasn't healthy and my mind wasn't healthy. I was in a job that I didn't enjoy, but my personal life, I mean, my family life was great. I'd reconnected with people. I wasn't married at the time, but I was getting married. I was very happy with my relationship, still am. But my work life wasn't very good, and obviously we spend many hours at work, so it wasn't very good. So I started exercising. I didn't want to go to the gym because, yeah, I'll be honest, I was not comfortable going into the gym with the way I was and the way I looked. So I didn't. And to be honest, in hindsight, it's a very silly thing, and I wouldn't necessarily tell people that's silly. When people say it to me, my response is like, well, I completely understand, because of course I understand, because I've been there. I can understand why you wouldn't want to go in the gym, and I've got huge amounts of respect to anybody that would go into the gym for the first time, maybe carrying a little bit too much weight, and probably does feel very uncomfortable. And there is that thing where their eyes are on you, and it's a bit of a daunting place. So I completely get that, and I completely understand that. Again, massive respect to anybody that overcomes that. But yeah, so I started going to the gym. I got into exercise, trained, became a PT, blah blah blah. But there's been 2 points in my life that I can kind of really point to, that have been pretty bad. I mean, things came to, I stopped doing that job. I moved on to a new career. I was very down, and then my life sort of started to pick up. And then recently, through a bereavement. But I think the point is through having things to aim for, and through having goals, and just getting out and doing some exercise. I mean, particularly the first time when I was very down and I was depressed, I walked my dog a lot. I went on my bike. I ran. I went to the gym. I didn't necessarily go with anyone. I didn't have to go with anyone. It was just something that I did on my own. I could lose myself. And the first time I went, when I was very down, I went to see a counsellor and discuss certain things. And it was good because it was someone neutral that held me accountable. So rather than me blaming everyone else for my problems, she simply said, people aren't making you feel this way. You're allowing people to make you feel this way. Which is very helpful. So, it kind of reinvigorated me a little bit and gave me a little bit more of a mission. So, it's that was very helpful, even with just a few sessions. But another thing that she made me learn, and research has made me learn, is our brains kind of do this funny thing when we get stressed and depressed. And I'm probably going to say it all wrong, but it's I think it's something like the cerebrum or the cerebellum. I'm probably at the wrong end of the brain. I'm probably talking about the front when I should be talking about the back. But in a nutshell, our human brains are amazing things, obviously, but they're not very good at kind of necessarily multitasking. So when we get stressed, we get very anxious, and we get depressed, and we get that suppressive feeling like someone's thrown a dark blanket, or there's a dark cloud hanging over our heads. A lot of people know what I'm talking about. A lot of people maybe won't. We can't really focus on anything else. I think, you know, for me, arranging to do things and having a purpose, like I had to walk my dog, I had to carry on some sort of routine, I had to go and see the counsellor because I'd booked it. Keeping some sort of routine was fantastic. And it's kind of like, you know, recently I had the bereavement, but I'd agreed, I'd already booked a marathon, which then ended up, a Southampton marathon, which ended up becoming the London Marathon. So I had to train for that, to a point where I almost felt like I'd be letting people down if I didn't. I mean, in reality, I wouldn't have been. You know, everyone would have supported me if I'd have said, no, I don't want to do it anymore because of X, Y, and Z. But I think that the point is that coming back to the beginning and the headband and the heads together theme, and I've seen it pop up on social media, particularly from the Mind Over Marathon people, you know, the whole thing is it's okay to not be okay, and I completely agree with that. But at the same time, you know, it is okay to not be okay. But just to kind of like interpret that a little bit differently, I don't really think there's necessarily a cure for depression, but there's ways of kind of like accepting what it is and not letting it define you. Kind of like a lot of things. You know, if you're obese, don't let it define you, do something about it. You know, if you have depression, if you are clinically depressed and you cannot get out from under that cloud, somehow, some way, you've got to find a way of not letting that define you. And I think one thing that certainly helped me, as I said, was going to see a counsellor. I know all this stuff's easier said than done, so I know I'm going to get that, but it's true. A counsellor helped a lot. I mean, taking tablets is perfectly fine, and various forms of antidepressants, fluoxetine, etc. I don't know all the different ones, are fine, but ultimately they will help the chemical balance, I believe, in your brain and in your body, but they won't solve your problems. It's, you know, it's kind of like if you have a really stiff neck and you keep getting headaches, or you don't drink enough water and you keep getting headaches, but every time you have a headache you take paracetamol, you're just putting off that headache. You're not really solving the problem that's giving you a headache. You know, all these different things medically and mentally are the similar sort of thing. Something's probably making you depressed. I know it's not as black and white as that, but in my case, it was work. That was something I could control. I could retrain and change my job and that sort of thing. Obviously, with a bereavement, I couldn't really control that. I really wish I could, but I couldn't. But, you know, the harsh reality that I had to accept from that is, well, some things stop, other things have to go on. And I have to go on. And again, you know, so counselling was one thing, but exercise was the key. And, you know, more people should be doing it. And again, similar to what I said with nutrition on a previous video, it doesn't have to be a massive complicated thing. It just has to be getting out and going for a walk. It just has to be, you know, book to go to a class. I'm not saying that you have to book and go and see a personal trainer. I'm certainly not saying you have to come and see me. But, you know, just get moving, do something. It will make such a huge difference to everything. And it certainly did me. And I mean, the link between the two, as I said, for me, just made all the difference in the world. It got me fitter, it got me healthier, it led to a career change. And again, I'm not saying everyone has to go out there and become a personal trainer tomorrow, but when I see the difference it makes in people's lives, not just my own, but, you know, the people I train, and I'm not saying it's especially because of what I do, it's because they've made that commitment to come in and exercise. And then it leads to other things, you see, because they don't want to just come and see me like once a week. They'll do some walking in between, or they'll it improves their confidence, and it improves everything about their entire well-being. We all spend too much time on phones and computers, etc. So therefore we reduce our interaction with people. I mean, if you go out for a walk, you're going to meet people. That's just fact. If you go to the gym, you're going to meet people. If you go to classes in the gym, you're going to meet people. So that interaction and that confidence it brings. Face your fears and crack on. But ultimately, it is okay to not be okay. And one of the most important reasons for me to do a video on this, as I said, because something that I've certainly found, which I know people that have suffered with mental health issues and depression and that sort of thing, have found it, they just don't talk about it. It's too much of a thing to kind of like be, no, it's okay, I'm okay, it's fine. And it's like, well, you're not. And that's okay. If perhaps if more people did talk about it, it'd make it easier to kind of go, okay, well, there's a problem, I need to start doing something about it. And that's where the exercise or maybe talking to somebody neutral comes in. So they're the two things that help me. I would be amazed if exercise didn't help everybody, no matter whether you've got any sort of mental health, anxiety, depression issues. It would help everybody. So that's kind of like my thing, really. It's kind of like laying something that's important to me on the line, and I feel a responsibility, because there's so many people, thousands of people that did the London Marathon, the Royals, all these people, and as a fitness professional, I feel like I should do my bit to talk about it and just say, again, it's okay to not be okay. Encourage people to go out and do some exercise. It doesn't have to be running. Anyone can do something. It can just be like a walk to your local shop, pick up the paper, walk home again, and then in time it ends up being a walk around the block and a walk up the hills nearby, and then walk up the local paths, etc. It just becomes something else, and then it turns into a run, it turns into a park run, it turns into joining the gym. These things really snowball, and then you're really rocking. And as I say, it's just my way and obligation almost as a fitness professional to kind of heads together, put that out there, and say it's okay to not be okay. But it's exercise, massive thing, and simple exercise. I hope this has been helpful. Please, by all means, message me or comment. Thanks for listening to the end. Cheers. Bye bye.